Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome to the open panel discussion where the floor is open. We can talk about whatever interests you. So let me just edit for a second what I was doing prior. You always have to add like a few things. We got 2 people viewing. Believe me, guys, I can definitely keep on talking. I got the gift of the gab. Darth, if you want to jump on, let's keep it about God, Christianity, but not even Christianity. We can talk about God. We can talk about a lot of things. I'm open right now to just going with the flow. And if there is any debate that somebody wants to talk to me one-on-one here, respectfully, I will not tolerate people that are talking over other people. We're all going to be respectful. We're all going to listen to each other. When the other person stops talking, then you can begin talking. What's usually good is if somebody's talking, you have a paper and you just write down things that are popping up in your head, and then when the person has completed their thought, then you can share your thought. It's in the spirit of sharing. LA, it still says that your device is not connected, so there's an issue. There's 5 people at the moment. Darth says, I'll join in 30 minutes. Cool, man. What can I do before that? I just will have 1 second, and I have some like old PowerPoint presentations that I can pop up as well that can be interesting. Forgive me. All right. Tag, select audience, no kids. Save. All right, LA, it's working. And you are live, LA. What's up? How are you doing,
man? I didn't expect to be live this quickly.
I can boot you out, give you a few minutes.
No, it's okay. I just need to. So I have my phone, and I was gonna try to share a live with some friends, but I don't know exactly how to do that.
Invite them here.
Technology.
Send them the link. Copy and paste the link, and then go send them that. And if they click it, they'll pop up in my studio. They can come here and talk if they want.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. So from my phone. Okay, Let me think if I could do this here. Okay, so I see it here. Share, link, Telegram. Okay, I think I got this. Got this. Okay, cool. Give me a second. Because quite honestly, I'm hoping some of my friends will come in and talk. People who know me more than you know me.
Sure.
I hope they'll come in and have a little bit of a chat here.
I'm completely open to it, and I'm drinking coffee at 9:30, so that means that I'm.
That's okay. Well, some people can drink coffee and sleep, and some people can't. Anyways,
that's it. We got the real Wayno. If there's a lot of people, what I'll do, I don't know, because I pay for StreamYards, so I'm allowed to have a few people on, and then there's an expert or professional one that's more expensive that can allow way more people. So I don't know how many people I'm able to put on at the same time. But what I would like to do is if it's me and you, it's simple. But if there's
I can understand that. It maybe some people, I just want them to maybe watch, or if I can see their comments, stuff like that, I'll share that. But you're right. Like if you want to bring them in, virtually on camera, I don't know if my friends would do that or not. I'm not sure. But what I'm trying to do here is, because I'm not very good at this technology too. I don't see you on my TV here. Like how I could watch you.
You go to YouTube. You're on YouTube.
Yeah, I am. But
Go to YouTube. Go to search. Then just press Jason John Swartz. Then you'll see.
No. But the problem is, like, I'm subscribed, so like usually you just show up.
Yeah, it should be also.
Okay, I think I found. Oh, never mind. It wasn't that. Anyways,
you can show up as well, guys. You can change your name if you don't want people to know your name. You can also appear with the option when you press it. It'll have like turn off camera. Some people, maybe they don't want to show their face, which is completely fine. So I want to encourage people, especially the ones that come regularly, to come on and talk about whatever. Yeah. So the format, especially when it's a really long presentation, I go through the whole presentation and then I go through all the comments and answer.
I do remember, like that's what you said. And anyways, there was a misunderstanding there. I knew you were doing that. There was a misunderstanding there. I'm not going to rehash all that. What I do want to say though is I was waiting until you were done with your presentation, and I do have thoughts. So I don't want to like rehash everything you just talked about on your stream. I would rather sort of have a little bit more of like a debate about the fact that, like, is there any part of you that thinks that you're not unbiased? So there's a part of me that wants to ask you that question, that do you think you're not unbiased and that you are biased? And so like
I'm 100 million% biased for Christianity, because I believe it with all my heart and soul. So of course I'm biased.
Okay.
I make the arrogant Christian claim that Jesus is the only way to eternal life, that without him you are guilty of your sins and you will perish.
So then how the hell then two people like you and me come to some sort of conversation when you're on that spectrum and I'm on the other spectrum? Like, how do you and I get to sort of a really good conversation when you're so biased on your end? And well, I don't think I'm biased on my end. I think I'm open, but I feel like you're biased on your end. And so this is why I nail you to the wall, because I think you're not as open per se as I am.
I was very open prior to being a Christian to various spiritual paths. In fact, for 20 years I studied them. So I went through Buddhism, Zen Buddhism. I went the Tao Te Ching. I studied the Bhagavad Gita. I looked at Yogananda, Krishnamurti, Eckhart Tolle. Looked into near-death experiences. Studied Jewish mysticism, the Kabbalah, and the Gnostic writings. And then after I just, like I said, I think that the New Testament can be taken, because they make these claims, like they're almost like creeds, creedal statements. I took that as a hypothesis. I'm like, Christians are making this claim. And I said, but there's a method. So I followed the method perfectly. And then I came to the conclusion. And the conclusion was that I went through Christ finally. And I told guys, I don't feel comfortable going through Christ. Prior to that, I was saying, God, do you want me to say I believe and I don't believe? So I basically said, look, I don't want to be in rebellion. If this thing is true, make me believe. And it wasn't immediate. And then finally, I did that prayer, and my life slowly changed. And the scriptures opened up, and now my life is completely different.
Okay.
And so it's, for me, it's real, and I'm extremely biased, of course. And I do miss the inclusivity of talking when I used to be spiritual and I used to be very well learned in comparative religion. But now I believe this with all my heart and soul. I'm ready to die for it. And
Right.
I truly believe that it would be not an act of love at all to say, yeah, that's my path, but your path is that, when I truly believe that there's a question here: eternal life or perishing. Again, I don't believe, I believe in conditional immortality, which means that the wicked and those who do not go through Christ are guilty in their sin. There is a certain amount of punishment that can occur, but that's not forever and ever. And the whole Old Testament just says that the penalty of sin is death, and that there will be judgment of the wicked, and it'll be the righteous that inherit the new heaven and new earth. So that's great hope for me as well. But again, the bias for this book compared to all the previous books is when I studied about the prophecies, and I realized that this is the only book that that's thousands of years old, able to explain even things that are happening now in society. So of course, once you believe something, you have an extreme bias. I don't deny it that I have a bias.
Can I say something?
Yeah, I'm done. That's why I'm not talking anymore.
Yeah, no, I totally believe you have an extreme bias. And so like I'm challenging you to remove yourself a little bit about that extreme bias and remove yourself from that, I think, is what I'm asking.
So if I remove myself, where should I go? Like jump into atheism again, or what do you mean remove?
Well, just remove yourself and be a little bit more open to maybe other people's unbiased. So I just think, like, try to remove yourself a little bit. Like, I feel like you're a little bit indoctrinated, I guess, is what I want to say.
Well, a book is a doctrine, so we're
Well,
all.
then I guess I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I know, but we're all indoctrinated to.
Well,
some
I'm
degree.
not, but I guess what I want to suggest or ask is there like a possibility that you would like remove yourself a little bit from like
Never.
everything that you're like indoctrinated about? Like, is there a possibility in your world that you would think a little bit less of that indoctrination? I guess that's my question.
So Christians all throughout millennia died for what they believed.
Well, like so did freaking Nazis. Like I've watched Nazis and all that. Like I've
No, the
been
Nazis died in the wars because they were fighting.
there. I
a war.
know it's crazy.
They didn't.
It's all crazy.
They didn't die for a belief, like you understand?
No, I do. Like,
Be-
so
be-
there was
because
a whole.
the
That's
problem is
the
that
whole
everyone.
situation. It's a very, very convoluted
So
situation. with
what's
the
your
Nazis
worldview?
and Hitler and the war and all that shit. But like,
I want to know your
one
worldview.
remove themselves from being indoctrinated from one end or the other and just be like a neutral type person who's just like the golden rule, not religion in one way or the other. Is that a possibility in your mind to remove yourself from thinking like that? Like, this is like, I understand Christianity is good. Like, it's all good. Like, it's a good thing to do versus like Hitler. But like, what I'm suggesting is there a possibility in your mind that you wouldn't be so like that way, so much putting yourself in that mindset and just being like sort of like a neutral person who's a little bit more open, I think. Because I feel like you're closed a little bit, like you're closed off. And
Yes,
so
Christianity is the narrow path. Christianity is very, very exclusive. I used to be on the non-Christian believer, like didn't believe in Christianity, and I understand the arrogance of the claim. What I want to know is I've expressed my worldview very clearly, even from understanding that, well, if time, space, and matter didn't exist at one time, that means that whatever that cause is cannot be, has to be timeless, right? Because it created time, the fabric of time. It has to be immaterial, and it has to be omnipresent. Then after you look at also, things that are just as real, can't be measured, things like ethics, morality, mathematics, all of these things. So when you start saying, well, if the universe was eternal, then we, no problem. But science at this point says that at one point time, space, and matter didn't exist. So what I'm saying is, when you actually say, well, if it created time, it has to be outside of time. If it created all matter, it has to be immaterial, etc., etc. Then that's my assumption. I wasn't there, but to me, it makes a lot more sense that what the cause is outside of time. It's immaterial, and it is all pervading because it fills, the whole expanding universe. But the other option is nothing created everything, and I think that is silly. So, what's your worldview?
I think the Bible is silly too, because it could be like a work of fiction, because it's silly to believe
Forget about my worldview. I want to know your worldview.
Some jotted down some notes and like made like
forget
really
about my worldview.
Suggestions on honestly,
Malay,
but it's still
I'm asking you a question. You hearing me?
Well, I am.
You know my worldview.
Talk really, so
you know my worldview. So I want to ask you a question.
Okay,
please explain to me your worldview.
My
what
world,
happened, where we come from, what's the purpose of life? What is your worldview? And I'll shut up. I want to listen.
I'm very much questioning that. Thank you for asking. Honestly, I'm very much questioning. For me, it's easier to eliminate what I don't believe, if that makes sense. So for me, it's easier to eliminate what I don't believe. So stuff like what you're saying in the Bible and everything like that, it's easier for me to eliminate that, because like I'm not signing up for that shit. Like it's just not in my purview. It's just not really working for me. In my day-to-day life and job, and following what I follow, and my family, my observations, people around me, my reality, stuff like that, my work, for sure. Obviously, it's a pretty big chunk of my day. My observations. Okay, so I'm going off instinct and observations. And so what I don't like about all this, what's going on here and trying to figure it all out, is what I don't like is like people telling me what they think or what they're reading, and they're reading books. Anyways, I'm a pretty avid reader. I understand, fiction. I understand humans. I understand law, my job, medical, even like I know you're in medical. I understand these things. Like I get it. I understand summarizing. I understand trying to do, what do you call this? Critical thinking. I would suggest also like summarizing like trying to figure out other people, stuff like behavioral.
But that's not your worldview. What's your worldview?
My worldview is all this.
Where did it come from?
Encompassed in my brain, and then what what happens?
Where did we come from?
What happens is when I hear you think like when I hear people like you or like well anyways not people like you
Yeah,
what bothers me is you read a Bible, you do your studies, you are who you are, and I'm just sitting here thinking like how the hell can you believe in this stuff that is written? It's just a written word and you like believe it. Like I would rather we believe in history and archaeology and like unearthing shit than believing in the Bible. So
the Bible is
stuff is
historical.
really making me angry.
The Bible is a historical document.
It's a historical document, but it's also been so what do you call this? So edited and rewritten and edited. It's not even real anymore. Like if anybody understands anything about writing and fiction or historical writing, it can be misinterpreted and like just rewritten all the time. Like there's no truth anymore. And so what happens in my mind is if there's no truth anymore in it, then how does one just like blindly believe at what the hell is going on? Because it's not real anymore. It's just so fictionalized and misinterpreted, and it's not reality anymore. It's not historical. It's not fact. And so that problem.
It is historical.
But
the Gospels were written.
Facts are twisted, and so
Jesus. There's no historian that will ever say that Jesus Christ, okay, wasn't walking around in Jerusalem around 30 AD.
Well, I wasn't there.
No historian denies that he was crucified, okay, and the books that were written, for example, Alexander the Great or Plato.
But okay. So here's the question.
Alexander the Great
I hate to interrupt,
Plato,
but here's the thing that this is the part that I hate. It's like,
about them
why do you believe?
500 years after him? We have documentation.
Why do you actually but why do you actually believe what it is that you're reading? Like somebody could have just written a poem for God's sake, and you're going to believe that. So that's the
when
part
the poem. When
like,
the poem
just, like read the shit and, like literally believe
when the poem has prophecies that come true, I'll take that poem very seriously as well. And it is a historical. The New Testament is a historical document that was written within the lifetime of the event. Okay, it is of all historical people. Okay, there is the Jesus.
You have a hard time believing in that, you know.
I know, but it's because condemnation before investigation is the height of ignorance. You have not read the Bible. You haven't read the Bible.
How's one?
So you're criticizing something that you haven't read. You have not studied and said, I want to discredit this.
It doesn't matter how much I study. Like I could study till the Timbuktus come home, but it like how do you?
I'll give you a last chance.
How do you believe what is put in?
Forget about my silliness. It doesn't matter my silliness. Okay, I just spoke for 3.5 hours about Christianity. Fine. Now, I have you on. Forget about me for a second. Okay, I want to look at your worldview. And I will ask a few questions. My
worldview is very
no. I asked you, and you went about.
They consume all this shit.
I'm gonna maybe just mute you and start a conversation with the other one if you don't answer my questions. So I'm gonna ask you specific questions, and I want you to give me specific answers of pretty much. How did we get here?
Can you be more specific? Like today, or do you mean in general?
What happened? Why is there a universe here? What happened? Why are there humans? What's the purpose of life? How did we get here?
Yeah. So
what's your worldview?
Kind of like why this is kind of why I wanted to talk about this is there is no proof of time, space, and matter. There is no proof. And so in my mind, if you want me to answer that question, is if there's no proof of this and nobody knows, what gets my goat going here is like everybody is just so willy-nilly ready to like believe what they're reading, what their other people say. They're not doing critical thinking, you know?
You believe in angels?
Only because I feel like there's sometimes coincidences are kind of weird and stuff like that.
Okay.
So like I get a little bit.
So you believe in angels?
You
believe in the spirit realm if you believe in angels.
I wouldn't say I believe in it. I'm questioning.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Miss.
Yeah. Let's let.
Oh, sorry, I was having trouble with the audio.
No,
I was talking. I was trying to interject, and I thought, like, okay, I'll just let him go. I just wanted earlier when you guys were going over how the Bible's been written a bunch of times, and that there's no historical fact, and that it's not a book of history. The truth of the matter is that what we've come to now is a beautiful time to be alive, because we're finding more and more proof that the Bible is real and that we live in a spiritual world, and that the disconnection or the inability to see that is from the spiritual interference we have with the devil and his minions all over this place. Just look at the way the world is right now. But historically, one of the coolest stories that I like, I'll start with this, physical proof. Story of the Bible. Everybody knows the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, recently, within the last 15 years, they have discovered huge, we're talking softball size and plus, balls of pure, unadulterated sulfur that still burns today if you pull it out, in the ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah. Yes. Which the people of the land, for generation after generation after generation, they all point at that desolate land where nothing grows, nothing lives, even the animals stay away from it, as the land that was Sodom and Gomorrah. We're finding these sulfur balls, which, remember, Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed by fire. It rained balls of sulfur to destroy it. So there's proof there, not to mention the fact of what was found on Mount Hermon in the 1960s and in the 1800s, which the Vatican hides the stuff that was found in the 1800s, because there was giants involved. You know how that goes. But there are countless supplies of history. This book is, if anything, the greatest and oldest book of history that we have. I absolutely understand. When I was in the New Age, I was a practicing exoteric believer that this book had been written so many times, and it's got a lot of really good morals and good stories to kind of keep you maybe on the right path. No, it's more than that. That book is the greatest science fiction story of power and supernatural and truth. But hold on, this is truth. It is truth. Every religion, just 1 second, hold on. Every single religion, because I was you can jump at me. Just hear me out.
I'm not jumping.
If we're going to be, we're human upon human, right? I'm not against you. I don't even know you, and I want nothing but love for you. So I would appreciate it if you would talk instead of talking at me.
No,
I promise I will not do that as well.
You're the one who won't stop. I'm out. Like, honestly.
So
that's okay. I am so sorry that is how you feel. I understand. I was in that place too a long time ago.
Like, you're just completely rude. Most people who have a conversation let another person literally.
And I was talking. Do you remember?
Phone calls in my
guys,
life.
what I can do.
This is the devil. This is the devil coming into this conversation, causing strife.
After me, honestly,
that's what's happening. So. And I wish you nothing but the best. And I will let you go back. I just understand you're talking to me the same way you were talking to Jason. You're very hurt. You're very angry. I'm not sure. I know I didn't do anything to make you angry. I don't even know you. But that's how you're talking to me. I don't appreciate it, and I wouldn't do it to you. And I made her leave, and I'm sorry.
So check this out. It's like you were saying, I did a
Talk
video.
about what's going on in the world today. My goodness.
But yeah,
Sorry.
in my playlist and stuff like that, I have this one, and that's the one that shows like exactly you were saying, the sulfur balls that were burning and
Oh,
stuff.
it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yep.
And I mean, when I mentioned in regards to, I wanted to
Yep.
clarify what I mentioned when I said the Bible was a supernatural book. I mean that because as a woman who has gone through terrifying sleep paralysis in my new age and in my early days into Christ, my relationship with Christ,
Yeah.
let me tell you, I knew that if that kind of evil and scary is real, then God must be real. And that's supernatural. When I referred to the Bible as supernatural, I meant that's because we live in a supernatural world. This is not about color. This is not about like what just happened in the discourse between what just occurred. There tends to be a push of more of what is right and what is wrong and who is right and who's winning, really. And the only person who wins is the Lord. I know I'm coming at this from a biblical view, but Christ absolutely made me a new person. I was a woman bound by addiction, bound by trauma, horrific trauma. Like, I shouldn't be here kind of life I've had. And looking at me, I know I'm not on the screen right now, but if you looked at me, you would not believe the things that I've been through. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm looking for relatability, because that's where usually a lot of our anger come from. And I was one of the most angry people. I may not even have like presented that way, but there was the spirit of bitterness, of anger, of no peace. And Christ, I think when people can't see that, they pick apart, and they just pick apart because they don't know. They haven't experienced that. And it's real, and it's tangible, and it's true, and it is the most real. Faith is tangible. Faith is tangible. It has a texture, if you will. It's emanates, and I feel I get so passionate about my walk with Christ and what He's done for me, and I know I want to. I've gotten better at not trying to beat it down people's throats, you know. But if anything, it just makes my heart hurt, because I know what those people feel like when they look and they look at their Bible. It's probably dusty if they even have one, and they think like, well, I'm not going to get into that. Well, I remember what it was like when it was hard to read the Bible, and I wanted to know the Word. Jesus is the living Word. And in the beginning, there was the Word. So it was even before it was even inspired, before it was even literally channeled out through vessels of men onto paper, it already existed. And if you think about the beginning of creation, He just spoke. Now, whatever that was, we don't know. We weren't there. It could have been sound. It could have been, who knows? But it was, I mean, that's fascinating, right? And
It is.
like you mentioned about nothing coming from nothing, that I think this amazing age that we're at this age where people are seeing that evil is real. It is not just in the movies. I have friends who were never even thinking possibly about being Christian that are like, what's the Book of Enoch about? Because they're seeing these weird cover-ups with the Smithsonian, you know, where they're seeing our history being, oh, don't look at this over here, look over there, you know, when you were like, what is this? They're seeing people that look like they're possessed, like people they love, just going insane. And to see that is how I saw, you know, came to Christ. When I saw that as a reality, like, we live in this amazing time where people are like, atheists are becoming the small number.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of new age confusion in there, but even then, I'm noticing a lot of my new age friends that are coming closer to Christ because they're realizing that the reason why they're not getting any healing from all that meditation and all those candles and all those crystals and all that sage is because none of it works. It's all counterfeit. It's all counterfeit of what Christ
some
can give
truth
you.
in
You
it,
never
but-
get peace.
You know what I mean? That's the problem.
You never get.
Some truth in it, but lies as
Oh,
well.
of course, because it's a copy, right? It's like a copy in a printer who's low on ink, right? You're not going to really totally get all the truth.
Exactly.
He can't. The devil can't create, so he copies, and he does. He gives us some truths with a lie, right?
Yeah.
Just like Adam and Eve. But the power that is in this, and everybody has at their own pace, at their own time, and God is constantly, he's waiting for us, each one of us, to come to that place where we put our arms up and surrender, and we'll get to feel the feeling that I want everybody to feel. Everybody, people I don't even know, I want everyone to know what this feels like, and it's the greatest level of not just peace and love, but there's so much understanding, and there's so much clarity, you know, because even though I could see all the scary demons and monsters and the witchcraft, like now I see it with eyes that go, okay, I recognize you. You know, this, what we all call discernment. I know that, and I saw that before, but God has now given that experience to allow me to come at it with compassion. I know that sounds weird to some people, but come at it because I know what it's like to feel that power. I know what it's like to feel that lost all at the same time.
Yeah, because
and I just
agree, you know, sometimes like you know, we do what we know we shouldn't do, and like it goes away, and then all the she was here and then she took off, and then all of a sudden, you know, like slowly but surely, like 3-4 days after, you're looking back, you're like, oh man, I'm really off track here. You know, I'm getting resentful.
Yeah, why do I feel so awful again?
But it's good. I love that because it's the yeah, okay, yeah, I will. Feeling it and then losing it, and then feeling it and losing it. Then I know it's not me. It's like I'll never attain enlightenment where I'm a light unto myself. It's always the Holy Spirit in the temple. And whether, you know, when you have the Holy Spirit and it's blazing, I'm coming to give you a kiss, and it's blazing, then it's like you're there, you're good, you know, the peace is there. And then after sometimes you get dragged into the world, you go against your conscience, and then you lose it. And then for me, it's very humbling. I'm just going to give a kiss.
100%.
Did you see this one? This is the Noah's Ark.
Yeah, that one I remember a lot of people having having a lot of questions on, but and of course, like any kind of dig that any archaeological find that is about the Bible, I mean, is always questioned in almost a furious kind of way, and very dismissive. And you know, for a long time I questioned the same, but I find it strange how it really is it's the Bible, it's Christianity that gets all of the questions and the, oh, that's just nonsense, oh, that's just a made up book. But that book is proof of the word being made manifest into something we can read. Like any book that comes from my esoteric and you know, occult past, like the Emerald Tablets or Madame Blavatsky's Theosophy, those were all channeled books as well, except those were channeled by darkness. They were channeled by the Nephilim and what the devil would want you to believe, which is that you can be a god, that you are a god, and that you will not surely die, and that you should have all this knowledge. Well, people quickly seem to forget that as famous as people like Aleister Crowley and Blavatsky and even Anton LaVey and Michael Aquino, as famous as all of them were, and as popular as their books tend to be, especially in the New Age, regardless if you're a Satan believer or not, they're all developed from the knowledge that the fallen gave to the world, to defile us, to make us believe those lies. And all of those people didn't have those everlasting lives that they believed, the immortality that they believed, and they had an unquenchable thirst for power and for this knowledge that led them to nothing but demise, and nothing but to the demise of people who followed them. Anton's famous last words on his deathbed were, "Oh no, what have I done? Something's wrong. What have I done?" And then he died. So whatever he saw, he realized that his religion was not going to save him. His belief that he would be rewarded with something anywhere near positive, other than what's tangible here on Earth, were sadly, he was terribly mistaken. But the people of the Bible, I mean, let's just look at the people who were the disciples. Those men, yes, they died as well. They died horrible deaths. But most people don't die horrible deaths because they saw something.
For a lie,
They didn't die for believing in, I mean, technically, a lot of people think, oh, they died because they believed in Jesus. No, they died because they kept telling the people, no, I saw him. He's not dead. We saw him rise. We saw him. He's alive. They died for something that they saw. Now,
yep.
most people, and we're talking of ever existing, most people would have lied and said, no, I didn't see anything. Like some of them would have broken down, right? But no, not one of them broke, because they weren't lying. They were telling the truth. And we've seen that through history when it comes to people, even during the World War II is a great example, right? Some people lied and said they weren't Jewish. Some people lied and said we're not hiding Jews. Whether they died or not, there's levels with which people will lie. And you don't usually lie about something that's true. You typically will, you know what I mean? I mean, yes, a lot of people would break down if it was torture and this and that. And let me tell you, all those disciples were tortured. I mean, horrible deaths, right? But they knew what they knew was true. So much so, like Peter's a great example, that he's like, no, fine, whatever, crucify me, but do not crucify me right side up.
Yeah.
Because our God was crucified right side up. I am not worthy to be crucified right side up. So he was crucified upside down. That's pretty powerful, That's a pretty powerful place. And I know that it's really hard for people to look at the Bible and feel the power of the truth in it.
It's veiled. It says even to this day, it says
100%.
The Jews read their own scripture and it is veiled. Now, during Jacob's trouble, which is the tribulation, eventually God pours a spirit of grace and supplication. It says, and they will look upon the one whom they pierced. So there's a remnant of people literally in Israel that will come to Christ, and then the natural branches will be grafted on to us, the nations, the wild branches. And so there's one Savior, and there's one vine, and it's Christ, and He's going to unify that. But during the tribulation, I think there's many people during the tribulation. I'm hoping for a pre-trib, but I'm pretty sure that we go through it. I'm preparing for both, and it's kind of like very quickly when Jesus is about to come, because it says if Jesus doesn't come in the clouds to set up his millennial kingdom, there'd be no more flesh left. I mean, the atrocities that the Bible and Revelation say are coming, but through that tribulation, many people will come to Christ during that, and stuff like that.
And when you bring up the veiled thing, I'm sorry, real quick, I'll be very quick. The veiled part you brought up, for me, I also, it is for sure, that is part of the veil that's spoken of in the Bible. But I think that what we're experiencing now, and have been for a few generations here, is that people are also veiled by the perfect timing that's going to be our individual time to accept it.
Mm.
Because even when I knew, when I was like, oh, God is real, you know,
Mhm.
I surrendered. I mean, I was a newbie, but I knew he was real based on knowing that evil's 100% real. Even then, it took me a while to even be able to read the Bible, but I later found that veil is so strong that the devil has on, right? And he amplifies what's already there, right, from God.
Yeah.
Because there is a veil there until we are ready. And it can be hard, and it's hard to have conversations with people when they're not there yet. And there's even people who are frustrated that they're not there yet, you know, like people who want to see miracles and people who want to see these great works and this and that. They forget that there's levels to this.
Yeah.
And that there's levels that are not necessarily seen, but they're felt.
Yeah.
And you know, it is frustrating, but I think that's the only way that veil can be lifted, even for the Jews, like you mentioned, is for them to surrender, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to open, just like we open all those doors with with drugs and with the occult and
Yeah.
meditations and all those things. We open, or even nicotine, right, or alcohol, whatever it is, whatever the vice is that's helping open a door. You have to be able to open that door. I like to imagine it as a window. You know, it's like
Mhm.
it's like the skylight, right? That's the one to God, and you have to be willing to want to open it.
Yeah.
And once you do, then you see. And trust me, I was such a strong believer in the things that I believed before, but that was, you know, I know now that was the old me. You know,
Yeah.
Christ made me anew. I'm a different person. I am than I was, and I'm more like what Christ actually had designed me to be, and how beautiful that He knows,
Yeah.
and all He just wants all of us to be together. That's it. That's it. He wants us all to see, oh my gosh, none of this matters that's here. You know, none of this that's here matters. Yes, we all can't live off grid. I get it. We have to do certain things in this realm, but
Mhm.
you're so much more free. You're so much, like, seriously, you're so much more free. And I know a lot of people who are ex-addicts, they get a lot of flack because it's like, oh, you found God, that's your new drug. Yes and no, I guess, because
I have no problem with
yeah, I got no problem with that, because this is one, it's a high that never goes away, and
Right.
it's always something you can crutch or lean on that actually will help you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, for sure.
you know,
The next time that I do a panel, this is the first time I do a panel, what I'm going to have to do is mute everybody, and then everybody just has 3 minutes. And then if you have a quick
No
thing, you
problem.
can say, you know, and stuff like that. Because I do want everybody to be able to express
Yes.
themselves. As for
I'll
me-
mute my because
No,
I'm a
no,
talker
it's okay.
too, so I
can do
apologize.
that. I can no, it's not about that. It was that yeah, like for me, it's like you're criticizing something that you've never read. You have not gone to because
And it's easy to do that because we're uncomfortable with it, right?
and like the reliability of like Alexander the Great, 400 years after he existed is when things were
Right.
written about him. So as far as Jesus, a historical figure, there historically, you know, the 5,000 Greek manuscripts that were written, and the Gospels and all the letters, and Bart Ehrman, who's an atheist, acknowledges written within the first century, and the idea that they're not reliable, well, you know, prove to me George Washington existed then, but you can't prove anything then.
Right.
You know, history is a soft science, and when it's applied to the Bible, the Bible stands its ground. And like I keep on repeating, it's like, show me a book that has prophecy fulfilled. Show me a book that is actually getting exactly how society is right. Show me a book that wrote thousands of years ago that Israel would be dispersed, but in the later times that it would be regathered. Show me a book that got it right about everybody freaking out a bit. It says Israel will be a burdensome stone. So show me all of the geopolitical things that are occurring now that the book got right. So, there is the experience of the Holy Spirit. That's fine. But anybody, who is just saying, oh, it's a translation of a translation, shows a great deal of ignorance because it's not true. The translations are always translated from the original manuscripts. And we have the church fathers that we're talking about and quoting Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in the epistles and stuff like that. So historically, the Buddha, it's 400 years after his life that things were written. So there's no historical figure that has ever that meaning Jesus as a historical figure. Obviously, a lot of them will say, we don't believe that he was resurrected, but we believe that these people wrote and believed that they believed and that they went to death. We have Josephus. We have extra biblical things. I mean, I just talked for almost 4 hours about the Jewish Trinity that is actually in the Old Testament veiled, and that these are 40 authors over thousands of years, and it's all one cohesive book that supports everything. Jesus is all over this Old Testament.
100%.
And like I said, I look at the archaeological evidence of Noah's Ark. Does mainstream science acknowledge it? No, they don't.
The discrediting thing, It's always the Bible, too. It's always things that are the historical proof of the Bible that get the most discredit. I mean, it's the same thing that goes with UFOs and alien abductions and demons. It's like, why do they run from the name Jesus or Yahweh? Like, why do they run from that? Why don't they run from, does anyone cry out Buddha? Not that I've heard of, maybe, Jesus, but nothing, you know what I'm saying? There's power in that.
Yeah, Jesus is the most hated.
And like you,
at the same time, he's the most
and you were
hated.
talking about 100%. And in, like you were talking about in the Jewish scriptures and the Trinity being veiled, speaking of canon that they would read, in Enoch, for me, this is proof here. In Enoch, we know about Gilgamesh, right? He was a Nephilim.
Right.
And how weird, if it's not real, the Bible, right? If it's not real, and these are all just old stories about, Gilgamesh is another story of the flood and this and that. Well, then, if none of it's real and its basis was of research of his sarcophagus.
Yep.
His research of the sarcophagus was done on the writings in the Apocrypha, so Enoch and I think Jasher, and discussing this giant who existed. Why was Hillary Clinton in the famous WikiLeaks? Why was the request for his whereabouts of the Gilgamesh sarcophagus? Wow. If it's not real? And that is, now mind you, this is also the sarcophagus that the Egyptians knew about, the power of certain sarcophagi, certain types they would use. They were basically a regenerative sarcophagi. And that is literally, now mind you, whether we know if Hillary Clinton got her hands on it or somebody has, right? Like, it's all connected. It's all a big giant web of get you canceled on YouTube. So I won't bring it up. But when you that seems like some proof to me that somebody believes in something that's talked about in the Bible, someone in the Bible. And when you look at just how strange, Joe Rogan talks about it a lot. He's got a lot of people on there talking about, everyone from Graham Hancock, whether it's Göbekli Tepe, whether it's especially the Egyptian society, whatever they're called, the archaeological society. They're very closed mouth about like everything, right? We have so much proof that's coming out that shows that, I mean, first of all, there were no kings buried in the 3 pyramids at Giza. And they're obviously some sort of what we could see as some kind of machine, and there's residue in these tunnels that are in it. all I can, my point with all of it, all of the archaeological stuff, all of the everything. I mean, even stuff that Albert Pike, the leader of one of the biggest leaders of the Masons, you know, he even talked about, like, if somebody writes a story or like my biography,
Yeah.
very quickly after I die, they're hiding something. If they write about me a little later, they've done the research. I thought that was very telling.
Yeah.
But when it comes to what's being veiled, the largest veil that's being veiled over everything, history and current, is that somebody, whoever's in charge, well, you know, the devil, basically, they don't want us to know about Jesus. They don't want us to read the Bible, because everywhere you go and look, there's nothing but distraction and temptation away from that. And that's that fight that I was talking about in the veil. You know, it's like you gotta want to, and you gotta fight through that too. And so yeah, in a nutshell, I guess God is my healthy addiction, and I'm all the better for it.
You've seen,
and I'll mute my mic now.
Have you ever seen like my insanely long marathon on Prince Charles fitting pretty much over 26 points of him being the Antichrist?
I have. You know, his family, I've done a lot of bloodline research on my own bloodline, because I have two bloodlines that are, no, I don't want to have your channel get docked or whatever, but
in code.
Both one on my mother's and one on my father's. One is a Sicilian Iranian bloodline, and my father's is a very, very, very prominent. I'm a very, very, very related to Robert de Bruce and high-end Rosicrucians.
Yeah.
Now these bloodline people, let me tell you, they know God's real. They know God's real, because they firmly believe that carrying the seed of, they firmly believe Luciferianism is like the elegant version of Satanism, right? They believe that being the seed of the serpent, you know, which essentially is the defiled seed of Adam and Eve, which we all are, right? They believe that is a good thing, you know, that they do the whole light bearer lie, that he's misunderstood, Lucifer's misunderstood, you know, all that kind of stuff. Just like all the TV shows and the movies, right? We got to feel bad for the devil, and he's just misunderstood, and he's just stubborn. And it's like, no, actually, all he cares about is steal, kill, and destroy. Now, when people get wrapped up enough in the belief that they're going to, and they probably will. I mean, the royal family is a good example of getting, or a bloodline of that nature, because they're not even the Windsors, right? They have a German last name, but they changed it because they knew that the Germany fighting would be a conflict of interest with World War I and World War II, which they all planned out under Albert Pike's plan of what they were going to do. But when you look at it, it's like if anything, I know Charles would want to be. I think their family believes him to be, because he was coined the chosen one by his mother, and his entire life he was referred to affectionately and both in front of other people sometimes as the chosen one. And by chosen one, they firmly believe.
During the Great Reset, you know, everyone concentrates.
Oh yes. Look at his absolute obsession with I almost said nonsense, but I'll leave my opinions on the unnecessary obsession with global warming, because the distraction is huge, right? We need this distraction. We need you guys controlled, and by you guys I mean the regular populace. They need us controlled. So what a better way than to tell you just by breathing you're killing the earth, right? Like what do they call it? It's not an inauguration, but his being made king. In that ceremony, his invitations had the green god, which is the devil. Why would you have that on your invitation? It has nothing. It literally had nothing to do with the rest of the filigree and the pomp and circumstance on it.
There you go.
What's that all about, right? Like, what's that? And that not only that specific version pulls in all of the Druid Satanists, all of the practicing occultists, because they're goddess worshippers, and they know that they're Lilith believers, and they're obviously Luciferian at heart, but it pulls in all those people. So what better to put on your invitation when you might have a mixed sort of dark believers than putting that guy on there? So besides all of the dragons and the griffins and all that. And when I went back and saw how far
there's the druid there during his inauguration,
and that's what I'm right. So it's like it was an invite for all of those types. And then of course you put enough shiny stuff, you get the regular people who just get enamored by being around all of these fancy people, right?
Yeah. The most important that I want to show, and this is from the work of Tim Cohen here, is that when we and I'll go another 10 minutes because my wife's home, so I will do another open panel another time. But if you look at
I would love to talk bloodline stuff with you too, and like Nephilim bloodline stuff.
I'd love to.
Wild.
I don't know what I just pressed, but no.
We'll have to do I don't know if you have a Rumble, but I would absolutely love to do a breakdown of the Brotherhood from Gadriel
I'm open to all
down. That would be fun.
Show presenter, screen, pointer option. So over here, just for people who may have never seen it, the beast is referred to as a body of a leopard, the feet of a bear, and the mouth of a lion. Okay, so this is what we call a heraldic achievement. This is specific only to Prince Charles. He had this. Tim Cohen figured this out in the 90s and wrote this book. So what we have here is the symbolism of the Antichrist with the feet of a bear, body of a leopard, mouth of a lion. Then after we have these 3 peacock feathers that look like 3 Vavs, which have a numerical value of 6. So that would be 666. Yes. This is the emblem of Wales as well. No, it's the emblem of Edward the Black Prince.
Yes.
So, and it says Ichi Deum, and here we have the red dragon. So it's basically saying, I, the Black Prince, serve the red dragon. We have,
and he also has the unicorn, which was also the horse of the Nephilim. That was like because all these crests are designed when people would have wars or seals for their documents. These are crests to tell you who and what they are. It's not just, this is king. Yeah, what like literally who I am in the secret, if you know what I'm saying. Like that's what, just like all mystery schools and secret society stuff. It's been a forever thing because it's I'm gonna have to go too. Sorry, but it's absolutely fascinating. It really is, and once you see it, it's like you're like, how come I didn't see this before?
I mean, look at here on my screen with Adam. He's a founder of the Illuminati and what they're planning. And see what's happening on the
100%. Yeah. You know what? You need to go look up Alfred. Go look up Pike. Go look up his plan. That plan is literally it involves all of the 13 bloodline families, because it goes from pre-World War I through up until where we're at now, as far as the plan, and including in subset. But I don't have a computer in front of me right now, but it includes everything from the plans of the war, how to control the populace, and then there's peppered in parts about how we're going to control the education system and how we control, if anything, we control through propaganda. Literally, they use a different term, but it's essentially mind control, because you give them it's bread and circus, right? It's just history rhyming again, and they knew that system would work because it's worked before.
It's his letter to Mazzini.
Oh yeah.
So Albert Pike was like the 33rd degree Freemason. He did the whole morals and dogma thing, but he did write a letter to Mazzini in 1871, and it's a prediction. So World War I, II, and III are created, and you see here Third World War, it is exactly what we see happening now in the Middle East. It says the Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agenter of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and the political Zionists, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on the issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash also the nihilists and the atheists. That's the Antifa and all these blue-haired people and stuff like that. And we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm. This is why we see the mass illegal migration, because like the Illuminati, they want to ruin nationalism, and they're bringing all of these people that are illegal immigrants, and you see the crime and rape. I'm not allowed to say that. And crime coming
atrocities.
Up. About it in 1870.
Well, it's all to get us to bicker amongst ourselves, right? So if they let more people in, it's a distraction for us to go, hey, maybe we're pointing our finger and being like, hey, what are you guys doing up there? This isn't right. And then all of a sudden there's 75 more people in your house. And I'm being very dramatic here, but you're obviously going to be distracted by what's going on.
It says we'll unleash the nihilists. So now think of it. You got the Muslims and you got the state of Israel fighting. Then it says we're going to take the atheists that don't believe in God and the nihilists, and we're going to use them to create basically burning down Seattle, all these things that you see these riots. So a formidable social cataclysm, which this is in 1871. He predicts this. All its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism. So they're against atheism too. Origin of savagery and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens, obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude disillusioned by Christianity, whose deistic spirit will from that moment be without compass, because they know that we are religious creatures. Okay, that's why people, perhaps LA, that's atheistic, they have
we're worshiping creatures, right? We worship things.
What I mean is that she has a religious response. She doesn't realize she has her own worldview, and it's atheism. And that's why she reacts like that. It's not that she doesn't care. There's a guttural and visceral response to Christianity. So that means that she does have a worldview, but she was not that. I was trying to get that out of her, and I will. But then after it says, then everywhere, but they know. So now everything's collapsing, but they know that we're religious animals. And it says, with the deistic spirit will from that moment be without a compass or a direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to surrender its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated. That's the plan.
And this wasn't just a prophecy. This was the plan. This was the plan to do. I mean, they already had everybody they needed. They already had everybody in even other countries, globally. They had all the people who were playing on whatever team, exactly where they needed them. And by teams, I mean brotherhoods. They had them where they had those people in play. And by doing that, they were like, okay, well, here's how we're going to do it. It's going to be like this, 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 and this. And if you look through, of course, it resonates. It resonates because it was literally the plan that we have all been distracted away from seeing and called conspiracy theorists when we are seeing what we're seeing. And that's if anything, and I am definitely not calling myself a disciple here, but is that not what we're supposed to do? When innately, each human being, I don't care about the majority few. I'm sure someone could argue this, but no one would want to leave a baby in the middle of a highway.
Mhm.
right? Innately, we would all want to do essentially the right thing, and that would be to go rescue that baby, even if it meant perhaps you have to push it out of the way and you get hit. You know, there's that, right? Innately, we have that desire to
Unless
do.
you are following a satanic doctrine that says you
Oh, of
have to
course. Oh,
kill all the
I'm saying
Jews
distracted. If
and
we're
then
distracted,
find the kill baby.
we're not going to see. We're going to be on our phone. We're not going to see the baby. You know, we'll be on our phone, or we'll be listening and being spelled away in a witchcraft trance, listening to the new Taylor Swift or
Yeah.
whatever, and
Do
we're
you see?
distracted
Do you
by
see what I have
by
on the
that.
screen
Oh yes, that was at one of the World Summit
at the
things,
west?
and that
Yeah.
was oddly, very not oddly, but it was specifically done for the day that he came,
Yes. No, because
and it's exactly
that's
what it
the
is.
symbol that was the peacock feathers. Now
Yes.
that's why you look at here. It says, yeah. I looked, and therefore there before me was a white horse. It's right coming in peace, right?
Hmm.
He held a bow. Now
Yeah.
this is made into bows, okay, arches, not the peacock feather.
Oh yeah.
But this is the image of, remember, Edward the Black Prince. So also it says the rider held a bow and was given a crown. Here's that crown. Obviously, you
Hmm.
have to have the rainbow colors. Then
Well, that's
after
another
you
bow,
count it,
right?
it's 666. You
Yep.
have the red dragon here. Okay, this
Oh
as well
yes.
is 666, and then after we see here that it's actually him that wants to do the great reset, which is the damn
100%.
beast system. Then after we
Yep.
can, I'm going through very quickly. He wants to make the claim because he wants to be everything for everyone. He doesn't want to be the defender of the faith, meaning the Anglican Church or the Church of England. Here,
Well,
it's
it
the
shows by what's going on there.
that, oh, I'm a descendant of Muhammad, so I can be your Mahdi. And then after
Right.
we look at the horseman, the pale horse, it says it takes over a quarter of the earth, okay, to kill with sword, famine, and the beast of the earth. Now, when you look at the beast of the earth, in the Blue Letter Bible, it says savage men. It's not necessarily animals.
Hmm.
And when we see the problem with the doctrine of the Quran, where it says, and kill them wherever you find them, kill them. Such is the
Hmm.
recompense of disbelievers. So this here is a big issue because look what's happening in England, London, and stuff like that. This mass migration,
Exactly.
and now all the Palestine flags, and there's a lot of violence and stuff like that, and this here is another problem. It says Allah's messenger, the hour will not be established until you fight with the Jews, and the stone behind which a Jew will be hiding will say, "O Muslim, there is a Jew hiding behind me, so kill me." And this is a doctrine that also isn't doing its own little thing. Here it says, we killed the Messiah. And for boasting, we killed the Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, the messenger of Allah, but they neither killed him nor crucified him. It was only made to appear. They certainly didn't
Yeah.
kill him. So it denies humanity's salvation. So I think
Right.
that this is possibly one of the horsemen. Now look at the Prince Charles. And then I saw
Oh
another
yeah.
that came out. Its rider was given power to take peace from the earth and to make people kill each other. To him was given a large sword. And it just continues. So we
You know,
need
when
to,
I see photos like that with him with the sword and I see, it's almost like I can in my spirit, like I kind of see him really, really wanting, like a little boy, like wanting to play pretend, like wanting to be
yeah,
the leader. And how fitting would it be if he wasn't even the beast?
I'm keeping
He'd
my
go
eye
this
on it
whole
because
life,
nobody knows all
his
of
whole
these.
family. I'm just saying like a what if, right?
And
Like
plus,
how
look
fitting
at how
would
these
that
guys are
be?
put together. He's referred to as the climate
I
king.
know.
He's referred to as the
Ugh.
climate pope. He wants to be. He wants an ecumenical movement. So he's
Oh yeah.
diluting. He's diluting the. Well, I'm almost done. He's diluting the. Just give me a second.
he's basically, by creating the ecumenical movement, the Pope has totally abandoned. I mean, not that the Vatican was Christian. I mean, I've always seen him as the false. But you look at him, he's ready. He wants to be the world religion leader, and Prince Charles wants to be the defender of all faiths. So you see that
Yeah.
if Jesus is the only way, that this is highly satanic. And then
100. Well, it is 100% satanic. I mean, just look at the if anyone even looked into satanic ritual abuse,
Yeah.
you would see that it's the scope of what's connected. It's not just the Catholics. It's not just the Anglicans. It's not just
No.
the Satanists. They're all
Protestants
connected.
have gone
Like
into
they're all connected because it's all under that. And so when you look at the guys of the thirst for power that they have that thirst for power because that is the same thirst that their father has, you know, to win at all costs, no matter what you got to do, which is horrifying when you really know, if people really knew what they do, if people really knew what they do, they would never watch another royal wedding. They would never give a patoot about what's going on with what the Pope is blessing. They would see, they would know, and they would go and try to, what the Lord told us to do was set the captives free. You know, we would go and try to help these underground people.
This is them two initially working for that one world religion. And believe
100%.
Me, Christianity that is so, it's Jesus. If not, you perish. That's it. He's the only way. No, nothing else. And you know, the world hates that. He doesn't want to be a defender of the Church of England. He doesn't really care anymore because the Pope knows the prophecy of Saint Malachi. He knows he's the last Pope.
Yes.
The last Pope is Peter the Roman, and he is Roman, and his name is after Francis of Assisi. Now, Francis of Assisi, his original name in Rome is Peter or Petros.
Yep.
So that prophecy, he knows that tribulation is just around the corner, that the whole Christian church is going to collapse. So you have the Protestant guy here and you got the Catholic guy here. Then after you look here, Prince Charles, this is literally a statue of him with wings. This might be the abomination that's going to be put on. It's 10 cubits high. And it's on the bottom, it says, Prince Charles, Savior of the world. Okay. Then after we see the prophecy here, it says, now, brethren, concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and of our gathering together with him, we ask you not to be soon shaken in your mind or troubled, either by spirit or by word or by letter, as if from us, as though the day of Christ has come. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless what? In the Christian church, the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes, and he'll exalt himself. So we see this great falling away that's occurring. The coexists, okay? That doesn't work, okay? We have Islam that says that Jesus wasn't crucified, that he's not the Son of God. We have Jesus, that's a Christianity that's saying he's the only way. The Jews reject their Messiah, but their scripture is inspired, and there will be a remnant. But all the other stuff, like, you know, Eastern and stuff like that, though it's not it doesn't spawn violence like Islam, where it's commanded to be violent, but they can't coexist.
Except for Bangladesh right now, right?
And look at this. We see here.
I could not believe it when I saw that imagery of inside the Vatican. And they're like, this is supposed to be, Jesus and the snake head, but they claim that horrific display of statue, whatever that is, behind along the whole stage. They claim that is Jesus he's in Sheol, right? And he's coming out, and I am not opposed to to well, and in that last photo you had with the coexist, I mean, he's holding up the devil sign. So it's
Yeah,
like,
that doesn't
it's
help.
just it 100%. I mean, there are so many that don't see, but that is why it is so important for the people that do see that and do hear, and that we use our
This
mouth
is Mystery
wisely,
Babylon.
right? We be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. That doesn't mean you be a doormat. It means that you know the game and you are capable of, like, essentially a poker face, right? Like, do not be shaken.
This is all. This is all in the
Um,
Vatican, by the way, guys. If there's
oh,
some
I
people
know. Oh, I know.
that are unaware.
And not to mention all of the oh gosh, and there's a crazy, if I would love to talk about the Eye of Horus in regards to not just, there's always the pineal gland and all of the pine cones everywhere involving there, but there's also a connection that a lot of people don't know about the Eye of Horus with the Vril, which is the fallen that are here,
Yeah.
that are also part of this of the NWO.
The Nazis
They're all a
were
part of
doing
that.
the drill, right?
Well, it wasn't just the Nazis though. The Vril people. A lot of people don't understand. I'm a huge World War II buff. I got that from my grandfather. But they did practice the Vril Society, but only those that were in the occult, which were, of course, the majority of the higher echelon of the SS, and those that had the rights to go and, like, just walk in and talk to scientists, that kind of thing. It wasn't the Vril is obviously, we see a lot of Hollywood stuff with, like, the Black Eye Club and all this kind of stuff. But if you look at Ra, it's not just Egyptian eye makeup. That is the Vril, the goo leaking from the voluntary possession, of a Nephilim, of a spirit, in its slimy form. Sort of. The military. There's a huge thing that a rabbit hole I went down of truth. A rabbit hole gets a bad rap too. It's just a tunnel of going, right. And when I was looking under the MK Ultra stuff, there was I ran into what the military was doing with technologies that they not only had gotten and created MK Ultra and whatnot, but they had also found esoteric and occult knowledge, which was the Vril, and this black goo. A friend of mine, Nathan Reynolds, who has a channel here. He's a survivor of SRA, and has a bloodline family as well. He is from the Reynolds family, and he has been healed. He, as well as myself, am a survivor with DID. That I'm healing. The Holy Spirit has been helping with that, and didn't have much luck with psychologists. A lot of people weren't prepared to hear some of the things that I've been through. But anywho, the Vril are a physical manifestation of basically evil in a substance. Some of these people who are in these societies drink this stuff. The military also uses it to infuse soldiers for rapid healing.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, our bodies are not designed for these things, so it induces psychosis, madness, as well as superhuman strength, insane healing properties. Big Pharma wouldn't share it with people like us,
Have you ever heard of
that is what the black is. Yes.
The young plasma.
Ambrosia has another name that they throw around, and I don't Adreno stuff.
Check this
the scary thing about the Adreno stuff is
don't talk too much about that. Yeah.
No, I won't. But what it actually is scared blood.
Yeah, because
adrenaline. It's not just the adrenaline, it's the type of adrenaline. There is, when our adrenaline levels spike, there's a different level of what they were able to measure, the only thing they were able to find when they would have, maybe you're going to get killed by a bear or you're going to get shot by a,
Yeah.
you know, all these crazy testings that a lot of the Nazis and we were even doing to some of the soldiers in World War I, to test these things. They found that, of course, the best scared blood was of a child, and the atrocities that come from that. But that all stems from the same, you know, secret society, all those Vril and Theosophy and the Emerald Tablet believers, all of that stuff. They knew, and even the Old Testament, all of them knew about all that stuff, because, and then they knew about our supernatural world, and they knew it enough that even though that was written for the people of that time, you know, that's why we seem to not, it feels like, oh, we don't totally understand unless we read, you know, maybe some Apocrypha and maybe the Septuagint, and we get these deeper meanings of understanding. But all of this dark stuff is real. It's more real than, and Prince Charles knows all about that. He knows all about that. And if whenever I see those families, you know, I see these big, I don't really watch the news, but I do stay informed. But all of these pomp and circumstance that they go through, and they have such adoring fans worldwide. And all I can look at when I see them now is I am so terrified for all the children because I'm like, oh my gosh, I mean, all of these adults have been through some terrible things, but it just, you see it, it's one of those, it's those things where, you know, you hope that we know how the Lord feels about children, right? And millstones and all, and but maybe it's just the mother and nurturer in me. But all of this stuff is real. This is not, you know, my husband. It took him a while for him to really see that all of this was legit, and that yes, some of this stuff is really hard to hear, and really hard to believe, but that's by design. Right. That's why we've been for so long. We've been seduced by the propaganda of the 440 hertz, which is disruptive for the human spirit and makes us more suggestible. And we've been seduced by the Live Vision with all its channeling and programs. We've been given these fantasies of the silver screen, and if you know anything about alchemy, to have it be silver means something. It's like a reflective pond or a scrying, right? That's why when we watch a movie, we get sucked in. It's like,
yeah, for sure.
As someone who used to do that, trust me, it's what it is. But
it's like entertainment, you know. It's like it's to enter.
Oh, yeah.
Enter your
container.
Yeah,
100%, and even. You don't have to drive yourself mad, but even things we subscribe to or we like, it's like little mini contracts, you know, like that we agree with, and this whole system is madness, right? It's madness. If one could go mad, but one could go mad only if you don't have Christ. But it's enough to feel like you're going to go mad when you see it all.
What I also
but
see
that is what makes Christ so amazing is
the passage where
he can help you with that.
The restrainer will be removed, you know, eventually. What I see is that the Holy Spirit, like, it resides in Christians, but that the Holy Spirit is kind of like removing its hand from those who are not saved, and it's manifesting now. Like I see a clear division between sheep and goats more and more now.
Right? And you're going to see it. People are going to see. They're going to see scary stuff. They're going to, like we were talking about earlier, they're going to see our family members manifesting into this something else that doesn't, you know, that seems more like possession than you know, it seems like we're in a movie, you know, but it's going to be lifted, and people it will be undeniable. It will be undeniable. It will be very not, it'll be pretty scary, really. But that is where people like us who truly, like, you know, anybody who is truly surrendered and leaning in on Christ, trusting him with everything that we do, putting him first, it will be a burden, but that's part of the cross we bear, which is to just one. Sorry, I had to help my son with something. But it is a hard, heavy cross to bear. But we will have to be strong enough to be there for these people.
Yeah.
And they won't just be our family members. They'll be strangers that will be, what is happening? You know, and us long-winded ones, maybe we'll have to find a little cheat sheet. Yeah. If anything, we'll just be like, Jesus is coming.
Yeah,
he's real. That's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to be like, Jesus is real. You see that? That thing looks like a giant? That's because it is. You see that thing looks like a scary demon? That's because it is. And Jesus is real.
Are talking, you know, about like, look, Jesus says, you know, when will you come? He says, as in the days of Noah, so will it be at the coming of the Son of Man. Now we know Genesis 6 that the sons of God, which are angels, descended to the daughters of man, 4 children, the great men of renown. These were the Nephilim. They were giants. They're all over the Bible. There's at least 48 passages about that, also known as the Rephaim. Now, a lot of people are asking and saying the giants are going to return. There's just one thing, is the Nephilim is when you mix angelic DNA with human, it doesn't necessarily have to be a giant. Now, what
of course not.
What I think they're doing is now that's why you see the UFO abductions always about reproduction and harvesting stuff. They're trying to create Nephilim, but that look as close as possible to humans. And there's that passage in the Bible that says they will try and mingle their seed with the seed of men, but it won't cleave, just like iron doesn't cleave to clay. Also, it talks about 3 evil spirits like frogs. Now, you look at the Greys, they look quite amphibious. And this is why I smirk a bit, because there's so much evidence of this Bible. It is insane how accurate it is. It is explaining what we are doing now. And then people are...
And look at... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's just that. It's just kind of like I smirk. I'm like, the Bible has proved itself in 1,000 different ways to me. And now you're asking me, yeah, but why don't you just reject it? And it's like, no, I'm not doing that.
Well, and the Bible has also spoken about, you know, like it was in the days of Noah. Well, if we are not living in a time of Ishtar, I don't know. We are living in a very, you know, all of this Mother Earth is very goddess driven. Ishtar was also known as Jezebel. And she became, she had I guess like an entourage, if you will, of eunuchs. Literally we would call them now trans, or gay or lesbian, or basically, and she was also a Baal worshiper. She was child sacrifice, and she actually was the heavy perpetrator for what we now call abortion. And she believed you know, Molech and Baal. So you have, this was also the dynamic.
Look at the Jezebel.
This confusion she's also referred to as Jezebel for 100%. All the boss girl thing, all of that, everything, right? And the demasculization of men, all of it was repeated, and it's been repeated in history. It's recorded in the Bible as like the first recording of this occurrence, but it has repeated throughout history as the pinnacle of when the downfall of a empire begins. It is like it's the right before the collapse is when you have a confusion between the sexes. You have a confusion between of a role of the sexes. You know, you've got we'd call them girl bosses, and we'd call them simps, or whatever you call them now, whatever it is. And so, Inanna, just these lost people.
Inanna Ishtar, in some writings related to Inanna Ishtar, it says, I am a woman, I am a man. And that you even look at the Baphomet. The Baphomet is androgynous.
Oh, 100%.
You know, there's the breast of a woman, you have the head, and all of these satanic ceremonies. Like, for example, here's the Commonwealth. This was a satanic ritual.
I remember that.
the opening ceremony
Well,
of
what else
Sherm
would that be?
is kind of
It's not like it's the running of the bowl ceremony. Like, what are we doing? What are we even doing with a giant bowl and people bowing or collapsing in front of it? That's you know
this
what I mean?
ceremony.
And he's on fire. He's not even like a pretty,
Yeah.
beautiful, healthy looking in, what maybe from the people from the East would worship as a cow, right? It's
Yeah.
nothing like that. It's scary and it's dark and it's evil. It's demonic looking.
Yeah. No, it's pretty crazy. Look at this. What they're
But I mean,
teaching.
that's proof. That's proof
It
too
says
of like
the
of
earth
history repeating
groans.
itself.
The earth groans every time it registers
Yes.
another birth.
Yep.
Abortion. I mean, the Jews themselves
Oh.
used to throw their children into Molech. It was like that. You see it over and over.
Oh,
This
did
is
you?
Molech.
There's a footage I have saved. I'll have to share it, or I'm sure you could. I found it on YouTube. It's footage from 1933. It is it's part of a World's Fair, and it's a celebration of Jews, and they have a statue of Moloch, and they throw babies into this fire, not real babies. I mean, gosh, well,
Yeah.
Lord, please don't be. But yeah, there's that was the World's Fair. I believe it was done in it was either Chicago or New York, and that I mean, of course it was hard to find. Like I had to find it on like some like really random, canceled many times truther page, but I found it, and you have not just the the stuff with abortion, which is offering to bail, right? But I heard this recently. A gentleman was talking about how abortion is also the antithesis of the blaspheming of the what do they call it in Catholicism, the Eucharist, where this is my body,
Yes.
eat of my this is my blood, and
Yeah.
the term that used
my body,
that,
my
that,
choice.
hey, and my body, my choice, and the sacrifice that Christ did was his death for you. Instead, it's your death for me. And oh my gosh, I mean, I'd already been, the first time I saw it was just recently, but it really
in
hit
my
me because
previous the presentation that I did, I even had a passage that popped off, and it was basically God saying, like, before I knit you in your mother's womb, I knew you. So all of these all of these abortions, those babies, we'll see them in the kingdom of God, at their peak age. Those are all human beings that have been sacrificed. And,
that is something that I have had one, and that is something that judgment from that,
look
I
at what
never found solace.
God has always done.
From
God has always done
100%.
that the Jews go into idol worship. He sends an evil nation. Most of the time, the Assyrians, Babylonians. It's always, anyways. I won't say which nation sends them into slavery. Now we have Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And we also have all of these abortions. The West is coming under judgment. We are being raised by demented Alzheimer people. This is a punishment from God, and the West will fall, and Europe will fall, and that will be our judgment. Tribulation is coming, and then finally, Jesus Christ comes, and then we'll punish those evil nations. But he's going to use those evil nations to punish us first. That's what he did all throughout the Old Testament. He uses Babylon, right? Babylon are hostile against it, but he uses them and to bring judgment upon his people. And judgment will come not upon the Christians, but upon the West and Europe. And we see that the downfall. Look at the downfall of Europe. It's horrible to see. Look at the Canada too. We're becoming Marxist and communist and socialist, and and on top of it, those without discernment, which are atheists, think it's great. And we will be more and more hated, and I don't, like I said, I pray for an early rapture,
But I think that no, we have work to do all throughout this tribulation. People will be seeking for answers when those aliens come from the sky. You know, we will be telling them, no, those are the fallen angels that descended and played
Yeah.
gods. Now they're playing our galactic brothers. They'll still want to be worshipped. You know, so we will be the ones that will be the light in the darkness. We will bring many to Christ, and we will be martyred. You know, that's what it says.
You know,
it says
the
martyred are
and it's all,
crying, saying,
oh yeah,
when is this going to end? He says, when all of the saints are overcome. And then there's, I think, a rapture towards the end. And then we come, you know, alongside Jesus and Armageddon, and that's it. And then we have tons of work to do as well, because I believe the revelation literally that there's a millennial kingdom. It says we'll you know, and that's 1,000 years, and the Christians that are faithful will be part of the government, whether it's priesthood or watching over areas. And then after Satan is released for a short time after a millennia, it's not done. And then something, you know, amazing, a new heaven and a new earth. Like, who knows what that is? It's exciting, you know. And I
think what some Christians have a hard time with the concept of, and I've struggled with fellow Christians with the concept of how the Lord punishes, because I think that we think immediately, you know, he's Alpha Omega, so he's gonna just bring it on down, right? Now, I'm not saying he's not, but what I am saying is that his capacity for justice and vengeance, which is his, is, I feel, we are not capable of understanding. Same how we are not capable of understanding love, you know, agape. We don't know. I mean, we can't even fathom the kind of love he has. Maybe if you're a parent, right? You can think, you know, because that's how he loves us, and we're modeled in his image, right? So we understand we cherish family and love like that, and our children, because we are his children. But even then, it's just we don't have the capacity. So when it comes to the judgment, I, as someone who had a lot of people who I asked forgiveness for, and then people who I forgave, who I know that I would never have been able to without the Lord. When it comes to these that are doing heinous things, and they're doing it with a fervent passion, and they believe in doing these heinous things, or they have done heinous things, and they're still alive. They have an opportunity, which we may not understand, but they have an opportunity to go to Christ. While they're still alive, they have an opportunity. And I think especially when things get nuts, like you're talking about, right? When things are going to get like, we're telling people, no, that is a demon, right? When we're telling them these things and talking to them about Christ and the gospel and the beauty and surrender to him and his forgiveness, we're going to have people who have done these horrible things. And I pray about this because I have concern for people who are Christians, who are going to not understand, and who are not going to think it's fair that this evil person who did evil things is going to be able to be forgiven. But even Christ waits, right? He waits for everyone, no matter, and I know it's unfathomable, right? It's like agape love. He's going to be, he's ready for that to, and I mean, of course we want that to happen. The chances of all of it turning and everybody just turns around. No, that's not what's in the book, right? That's not the story. There's going to be what it's going to be. But we have to know that when he comes with fire, when he comes, he's coming. Yes, with in him is going to be vengeance and justice, but it's also love. That is his goal, is to come and hold the hands of his children, which is all of us, even us crazy lost ones. And if you've ever been lost, then you know what that means. And the beauty, we got some scary stuff going on right in front of us, but we don't want to forget that it's going to be hard. you know. And I think some people get caught up in, and I don't mean this to be cruel, but I think some people get kind of lazy in their faith because they think, oh, well, I believe in God, so I'm just going to get raptured. And it's like, well, hold on,
They don't have any
because you have to
oil in their
understand.
There's
Yeah,
no
if you
oil
don't
in-
have oil in your lamp, then you may be someone he doesn't know. And
Exactly.
so, you know, it's hard to get that across to some people because, you know, like we talked about with the veil earlier, right? It's like it's got a whole lot, there's a lot of weight involved in that veil. There's a lot of substance in there. And
Yeah.
and you know, we can veil ourselves with a false sense of security in you know, are you where are your fruits? And maybe you're a great person, you know, maybe you're a great person and you're doing stuff and you talk about Jesus with stuff with people. But I'm not saying everyone's got to be ready to go save kids from SRA. I mean, that's pretty intense, right? But at the same time, everybody's built different, I guess. That's
Exactly.
I fashion myself one of those people who's willing to go and like slay demons and like just go for it. Like, I'm ready to fight for the Lord, you know. I took that battle, I took that armor of God legitimately. And
Listen,
I'm alive because of that.
Give me a sec.
I'm talking again. I'm sorry. I gotta go
No,
too. Keep saying
I'm
that.
gonna cut the stream now because my wife, I want to watch a movie with her. I'm sending you my email down there. Contact me so we can be on like Messenger, or contact me on Facebook. It's Jason John Swartz, the same profile, so we can set up more sessions where I just want to let you talk and listen a bit, stuff like that.
Okay.
You know, just let you share all that you know, and as a guest, once in a while. So I'm just gonna post it.
This is one of the gifts God has given me, is to absorb information and spit it out. So
yeah, so it's
now I'm doing it for him, so it's good stuff.
It's on the bottom.
And some scary stuff, but it's good.
Darla as well just posted it, so it's pretty much JJSWARTZ79 @gmail.com.
Oh, okay.
Anybody else is free as well to contact me. From there, you can even just write Jason John Swartz. You'll see the profiles exactly like my YouTube. Let's get together on Messenger, so I could be like, hey, I got 2 hours. Are you available? Can you pop on with me? And
that would be awesome.
So sorry about that, Darth. You haven't said a word, and now I'm about to stop everything. Is anything you wanted to say, buddy?
There's nothing interesting. I have something to say. I don't have nothing special to say.
Well, we appreciate you just being up on the panel. It's like the three believers with the Holy Spirit. It helps everybody. I wish that means
Christ is right here, right? Where two or more are together, he's right here with us. That's and with the chat and everything. That's like one of my favorite things to have happen when we're talking about him. That means he's there. That's cool.
That's it. And for another time,
God bless you all.
That I do, if I do an open panel, I don't mind having like even non-believers or people that want to debate. But the way I would create it is literally I would have a timer and everyone else is muted. You give the person, everyone should have a paper so to jot down ideas while people are talking, and then somebody has their time so that they're not interrupted and they can waste their time as whatever and say whatever they want. Then we just go in a circle so that it's more controlled and stuff like that. Because I don't mind having LA. She can share her views. I was trying to pick out her worldview. I was going to say, okay, you know my worldview now. What's yours? But I wasn't able to get it out this time. So I love you all. I'm going to go watch some kind of movie with my wife.
God bless you all.
Yeah, God bless you. Please look at my previous video. I put a lot of work on it. It proves the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are present in the Old Testament. And if you're into apologetics and defending, or you have trouble understanding the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit and the dynamics, and is he God? Isn't he? I don't understand. It will help you tremendously. All right. Love you guys. See ya.
All right. Love you all. God bless.
Miss McGilcuddy. Find me.
I will.
See you, Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.